Almost. Come on. Okay, let's see. Almost there, Dr. Joe. Things are a little slower this morning on this internet. All right, you can turn your camera back on, please.
I'm here.
All right. Let me just upload or publish that.
Okay.
And you are live.
I am live. Good morning, everybody. Welcome. So glad that you're here. We have a great program for you again today, and it's going to be going back and listening to Chapter 2, a lecture that I did, I think, in January on Chapter 2. I think the lecture lasted about 23 minutes. And then after that, we're going to have you click back into this room, and we'll have our Q&A. Now, as we go through the process, if you have questions, go ahead and put them into this the comment section. And when we come back, I'll be able to review those and we'll cover those as well. So for right now, what I want you to do is enjoy the lesson that's about to take place. And that requires you to, let me make sure I have this right, and Jeff can correct me. I just messed it up. So hold on. You go back to this wonderful email that they just sent you. And I'm going to show. Okay, so you click on this top box, right, Jeff?
Yes,
Top
sir.
box right here. If you click on that top box, it's going to take you to the lesson. Jeff is going to push that out, and then we'll see you back here in about 25 minutes, 25 minutes, and we'll go into Q&A. So enjoy it. Take care. Thank you.
Are you back?
I'm back.
All right, so it's about 10:26, and we've got a few people they're still finishing up. They had a little trouble getting into the video, so if you want to just kind of go over a few things.
Sure. Do we have people in our room?
We do. There's let me just get a kind of a head count. I think there's close to 60.
Okay, cool. Any questions that popped up yet or no?
We haven't had any questions yet.
Okay.
Maybe
Cool.
we want to encourage people to.
Absolutely. And I wrote a couple of my own notes down here while I was going through it. It's interesting to go through the process of listening to that talk. That was just 3 months ago, a little over 3 months ago, and how things have changed so drastically just in 3 months. And the opening slide, and when I said, "And God is for us," and we have to look at life experiences as if God is for us, and asking yourself the question, how in the hell is this COVID-19 experience for us? Where it's collapsed so many systems, social systems, and the healthcare systems, and financial systems, and emotional systems. It's collapsed so many different things. How could this be for us? And how did we bring this into an experience? How did this vibration work, that suddenly we were all vibrating on a certain level? So it really does beg the question as to how this thing does work. And now we've been going through a process at our own center where we're looking at, in fact, we had a board meeting last night, and we're looking at, have we seen anything in this process, this experience? Have we seen it unfold for a greater good that we've actually been talking about and discussing, leading up to the point where this is happening? And let me put it in context. We've been talking about reaching out into the internet world, the web world, the YouTube world, the social media world, and doing it in a bigger way but we've all had some resistance. It's funny that old talk just rang true. We say we want it, but yet we resist doing it. And one of the things that this has pushed our center into doing is manifesting that resistance, turning into acceptance, and forging ahead with an idea that we had said we wanted, but really not, because we weren't sure how to do it. And, there was this hesitancy around it. Now, boom, because of this experience, because of this virus that's in the world, it is awakening us to express our center on a different level. And so, like I said in the actual talk, there are some questions we can never answer as to how it impacts other people. But in our own lives, how can we see something like this working for us? And so I think as we go through the weeks, and it appears to be a month so far, and maybe weeks or months ahead, can we keep an open mind and see that we can relate to things differently, and see where this could bring about some necessary, self-examination in my life, slowing my life down a little bit, taking more time with my family, my friends, taking better care of my health, organizing my home. What are some things that could come from this? And because good can come from this. Another thing that I caught in that talk, that we were actually in January talking about the 4 pillars, meaning relationships, health, financial security, and abundance, and creativity. And I've been talking the past week or so about needing to explore the idea of going back to vision boarding and creating a board with our vision of how we want our life to look, in the next 2, 3, 4, 5 years, whatever it is, and start creating planting those seeds in the garden on a vision board. And so it's interesting that those 4 pillars that I was talking about in January have continued to surface again. And now we're seeing those pillars show up in another lecture in another format, and a couple months later going, okay, this is a reminder. The universe is kind of tapping us on the head going, hello, knock on the Joe, I'm waking you up to this. When are you going to heed the wake up call and do this for yourself and teach other people how to do that? So I found that to be interesting. Jeff, if you have a question, pop in there, okay?
Can I just put a general chat out to the room just to let them know, if you are having trouble connecting to the live chat, it is not going to show up on the same video you watch the class. It's going to be below that. And if you haven't clicked into it at all yet, if you just hit the start button, and in the bottom right-hand corner, it will say Zoom. You'll know that you're in that. And if you'll do that now, and then anyone who is listening, if you want to add, oh, that's great. Good. Interesting newbie. Just got it. Great. If you have questions, if you'll please put them in the chat now, and I'll share those with Dr. Joe and he'll address those. Thank you.
All right. So pop in when you have a question, Jeff, but right now, let me follow up on a couple things. Everything is God expressing. And I've been analyzing that idea myself recently, because God is expressing by means of this virus, because God is in the virus. There's no place where God can't be. So in our teaching, we don't teach that there's a devil or a satanic presence or an alternate power to God in the universe. We teach that there's only one power, and we're all using that one single power. So I have to know that God is expressing in this form that the world is experiencing. And so knowing that, I have to see that, there are things that are happening to people as the result of this, that are definitely not healthy and good. And there are also other things that are happening that are forming new things as a result of this experience. I guess I look back and I say to myself, and it's kind of a different analysis, but in the 1980s, when HIV and AIDS, the AIDS epidemic, and I was living through all of that, and I lost literally every one of my friends except one. We had a big group of people that were at a big social group in my 20s, and there were probably like 20 or 24 or 25 of us, and there were only 2 left when all of that was said and done. And I wasn't really in the teaching the way I am now, but I look at that experience then, and I look at what's happening now, and I see so many parallels to that, that the things that I learned going through that process are just as alive in me today as I go through this experience again in a similar situation. And it reminds me that I've forgotten some of the things that I had prioritized, 20 some odd years ago, 30 years ago. And so to me, this situation that's popped up has a reminder that God is expressing in all things. And even the loss of my friends then and the loss of people now is always a lesson to me in some form. And I may not see it at the time, and it may be really uncomfortable, and I may question that as I'm in it. But when I look back on it, I can see the growth that occurs around it. I hope that makes sense. So the way that this thing works is we are always developing a higher relationship with that presence, that energy, that vibration. You can call it whatever you want. I choose to call it God only because that's just my choice to call it that way, call it that, or the universe. I'm always developing a higher relationship. Well, I shouldn't say I'm always developing. I'm more aware of the relationship that I am creating with this energy. And I'm choosing and choosing how I want to relate to this energy. Many times, and like I said in my talk, I have made the wrong choice. I have asked for things in limited form. I have created for myself a ceiling or a cap on my good, and the universe always matches my level of expectation with great mechanical accuracy. In fact, I'm going to pull out one of my quotes, my favorite quotes. The gardener goes forth in faith to sow his seeds. He has learned that as he sows, so shall he reap, that the law works for all alike. We must accustom ourselves to the concept of the impersonalness of the law, the availability of the law, and the mechanical accuracy of the law. If we can conceive only a little good, that is as much as we can experience. So I love this idea. In fact, wow, you know what? That's really profound in this moment. That's really profound in this moment, because everything that I read, I always try to put it in an interchange. In other words, can I say this about positive things in my life? Can I say this about negative things, things that are appearing to be negative in my life or life experience? And you know what? What have people been talking about in terms of this virus thing? It's not personal. It has no bounds, or male, female, culture, religion, doesn't matter. So it's really interesting that the availability of it and the mechanical accuracy of it. We know these things to be true in this thing. So if it's true in that thing and it's true in other things, then we have to see how it's all one thing expressing. I mean, to me, that's just that. I know, as crazy as it is, that kind of just trips my trigger, because if it works here, it works there. It works in the positive, works in the negative, and I can see the similarities of how this is working both ways. Now, I'm not calling it good at all. I mean, but I have to understand it's still an outpicturing of a consciousness and a vibration that we're all experiencing now. So I have to, it requires me, not have, it requires me to do some internal searching and some internal work, spiritual work within myself, that as I understand the second chapter, how this thing works, is that it's always working for me and for us, and some higher or greater good is always unfolding for me and for you, and the mechanical accuracy of this for me and for you, and the impersonalness of the law, that we don't need to be in favor, in God's favor. We're already there. It's unconditional. There's no special code or link that you have to have, or languaging or anything like that, or belief system or professed system of belief to access this thing. It's always readily available to us. I hope that makes sense. Jeff, any questions yet?
No, sir. Nothing
Oh
yet.
my gosh. Are you people all there? You're all with me? Come on, somebody throw me a spin. All right. Well, in the lack of a spin, I'm going to keep reading what I was doing. Moving on. How much can one demonstrate? Just what one can believe. How much can we see? How much can we accept? How much can we find in our consciousness that is no longer repudiated by our own denials? Whatever that is, that much we can have. So let's go back and review that one. That example that I use in that, and I've been using it for 20 some years, is how I was returning back into the workforce, and I set the dollar amount on what I needed. And right now I'm going to throw a cautionary measure, a cautionary tale up here. Be careful right now in times when things are stretched differently. Financial situations are challenged. Relationships are strained as a result. Be careful that we don't just proclaim into the law what we need. Make sure we're putting into the universe what we desire. In other words, the bigger picture, because we can sell ourselves short of any demonstrated good when that's the only thing we're thinking about is, I just need to get by. Included in this idea of the bigger picture is your ability to get through what you need to get through. So it's not the first step that we look at when we start doing our prayer work, our meditation work, and our staking our claim into the universe. It's not the first step, because we're going to want way beyond that. But the first step, the 10th step, includes steps 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So when we get to the bigger picture, our needs are always met, because we're putting out into the bigger picture our desires, and then included in that manifestation of our desires will be the things that the stepstones getting us there, that will check those other things off the list without them being the top priority. The top priority is the biggest picture. The other ones will come into play and will be manifest as you walk through this process to the bigger picture. I hope that makes sense, because I know a lot of people right now, I know that many people are looking at what I just need my needs to be met right now. How do I, and that's what I call that 911 consciousness. Boom, I need this, and that's what I need right now at the moment. And it's a paradigm that we're all used to going to, and we want that answer to those immediate needs right now. And I know this feeling well. I've experienced it myself. And what I have to understand is I have to take a step back and go, look, that's just the smallest part of the bigger part of my picture of life. This is just one thing. This is just the one thing that I need. All right. So I want you to expand that idea. A question. Yay. How do you not give yourself grief for feeling you are creating the negative aspects? Oh my God. Well, I do. You can't deny that. So, I mean, I give myself grief all the time. But I don't stay in it as long as I used to. I acknowledge it. See, this is the big thing. And for those of you who were on class, in class with Charles and Michael Bogart I remember his name, Michael Bogart, on Saturday, you know, a lot of metaphysicians think that you're not supposed to dwell in that negative feeling, that guilty, negative energy. And I'm one to tell you, okay, I don't want you to dwell there, but you're definitely allowed to make like a little pit stop there. You know, I liken it to, you know, if you're on a 500-mile journey and it's going to take you 10 hours and you stop off at the rest stop, right? And you spend 5 minutes there and then you get back on your road, it's kind of like pulling into a rest stop. In other words, you're allowing yourself to experience the human experience of an experience. And in doing so, you acknowledge what is, and then you move off of it. So one does not need to take a bath in that fear. One doesn't need to immerse themselves in that, but you're allowed to sit there and experience it for a while, then get on it and use your spiritual tools to dispel that fear, to move on from that fear. In fact, wait a minute, here we go. Let's see. How does one dispel fear? Yeah, okay, how does one dispel fear? Well, fear is the acronym for fear, false evidence appearing real. False evidence appearing real. In other words, is this my truth with a capital T, or is this just my current reality? And I have to make sure I have to make a decision. Where do I want to reside? Do I want to reside in my current reality? In other words, do I want to continue to emphasize, talk about, spin over and over in my mind again, spiral into what is already known, the known things that are happening in my world? Do I want to spin into those things and spiral into those things? Or am I looking to false evidence appearing real? Am I giving it more energy so I continue to feed the fear? The example I always use is a pot on a stove. And you take your stuff and you pour your fear into the pot, right? And you turn the heat on. And so the heat is boiling that fear in the pan. Okay, it's just boiling. The stove is boiling, the heat in the pan, and that's your fear. And the thing is, you get to regulate, the temperature underneath that pan. And there are times when, look, absolutely, you're going to be in the pan with the fear, but there are times you have to take yourself and say, look, not only do I need to turn the burner down, I need to turn it off. Not only do I need to turn it off, but I need to take the pan and I need to dump whatever's in the pan out and then replace it with the faith of the truth of who you are. The love, the light, the truth, the beauty, the power, the wisdom, the abundance, the health, the happiness, the positive loving relationships, the financial security. Replace the fear with what we know the universe and the vibration wants us to vibrate at that level. Replace that stuff in the pan and turn that heat up and turn your spiritual practices up around it. When we do that, then we allow ourselves to start taking on a new persona and a new confidence and a new air of knowing that the universe is working in our favor, that what our temporary rest stop or that temporary feeling is exactly that. All right. Let's see, here we go. I'm trying to read this. You have to understand I don't have my glasses on. Are you going to offer a vision board class? And if not, where would you send us to make the right way? Yes, we will be doing that. That is it's not on the schedule for next week. Next week's schedule is already lined up, but the following week, we will definitely be doing that. So I'm not sure what day, but keep your eye out on the announcements. We're continuing to put that information out. I haven't finished writing my first book yet. This is my highest vision. Your thoughts? I am an internationally best-selling author. Absolutely. If you're going to go big. If you're going to do something, do it big. You don't do something just to make the little mark. You go big and let the universe express it by means of you. And however that's unfold. Now, don't let your ego attach yourself to the rhythm or the timing of how that happens, because many times we do that. We will restrict ourselves from doing that. So be careful that we don't restrict ourselves into the timing of something and that become our ego, not the message and the importance of the message that you want to get out. So absolutely, that's a great way to express oneself, to become an author. And this is my goal, right? This is what I want to do. And just be willing to do whatever it takes to do it. It's one thing to say it. It's another thing to actually apply yourself into writing the book and doing whatever's necessary to market the book and to get on the road and to sell the book and to do workshops and fly all over the country and all over the world. All of those things are part of that process. So you have to be part of that process. So whatever you're willing to do, I say always paint it red, paint it big, paint it bold, because the universe wants to express an experience by means of you. And it doesn't do that by contracting into good. It does it by expanding into good. Hope that answers your question. Any more questions out there today? All right, hearing no questions. Good, I'm glad you guys like that. Good, I'm so glad you were able to join me today. Tomorrow at 10 o'clock, Rebecca's going to be doing her meditation practice at 10 o'clock. And then Sunday services at 10 o'clock. And then next Monday, we'll resume the class on the 3rd chapter. So I'll see you back here tomorrow with Rebecca, and then Sunday services, and then Monday class again. You all have a great day. Thank you so much for joining me. Have a great day. Thank you so much. Bless you.